Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Haura Salma from PBI3. Today I will explain you about morpheme. And I use this book for my reference. Definition of morpheme: a linguistic form which bears no partial phonetic semantic resemblances to any other form. Here, there are 6 Nidas principles, and I will explain it one by one. For the first is Principle 1. Forms which are distinct in semantics and have an identical phonemic form in all their occurrences. This principle allows us to isolate the morpheme ER in adjunctive and morpheme ER in comparative. The means of adjunctive is the person does the action. The example: singer, the person who sing; driver, the person who drive; and writer, the person who write. And comparative, it's mean comparison or more than. The example: wisher, longer, and older. And here also there is another ER. The example: clover, paper, and author. But they are doesn't include principle 1. Prefixes before stems, suffixes after stems, and infixes indeed of another morpheme. Example of prefixes is disagree, for suffixes acting, and for infixes cupful and spoonful. Principle 2. The definition: forms which have a common semantic in distinct phonemes but which differ in phonemic form. And here there are examples of negative prefixes like an, in, ear, im, il, and this. For an, the example is unable. For in, insane. For ear, irrational. For im, impossible. For ill, illegal. And for this, disagree. Principle 3. Identifying forms as a single morpheme even their distribution is not phonologically determined and are in complementary distribution. And what is complementary distribution? If the environment in which one morpheme occurs is not an environment where any of the other can occur. Principle 4. Two forms may be considered as belonging to a single occurrence when they are found in free variation. And what is free variation? If the forms have same meaning and may occur in exactly the same environment. And the example of free variation: either, neither, and direction. Lexical entry. Lexical entry of a morpheme consists of 3 parts. The first is phonological forms, the second is syntactic features, and the third is semantics. And the example is for phonological form, children. for synthetic features, this is noun, not verb. And for the example of semantics is young man. Principle 5. First, homophonous forms with distinctly different meaning constitute different morphemes. And the second, homophonous forms with related meaning constitute a single morpheme if the meaning clashes and paralleled by distributional differences, but they constitute multiplied morpheme if the meaning classes are not paralleled by distributional differences. And there are two parts, single morpheme and multiply morpheme. For single morpheme, the example is cat, and for multiply morpheme, the example is book. Cat here, it's just noun, and for book, it can become noun or verb. Principle 6. A morpheme is isolatable if it occurs under the following conditions. Here there are three conditions. The first is isolation, the second in multiply combination, and the third in a single combination. For condition 1 of principle 6, allow us to isolate a morpheme such from as girl and cat. And for the condition 2, allow us to isolate forms such as adjunctive ER as morphemes. And the example, dance become dancer, play become player, work become worker. And the last conditions permit us to isolate the morpheme cran in cranberry. Cran occurs just in this single combination, but the element with which it is combined, berry. And another example like strawberry, blueberry, and raspberry. Types of morpheme. There are two types of morpheme. The first is free morpheme. Its mean can stand alone with a specific meaning. The example, eat, date, and week. And next, bound morpheme. Its mean cannot stand alone with meaning. The example, roots and affixes.